If there's one thing that's guaranteed to get the GAA community riled up, it's controversy. Whether it's a dodgy ref call or a player caught smuggling sandwiches onto the pitch, these scandals have a way of getting everyone's knickers in a twist. So, without further ado, let's take a look at another top 5 GAA controversies that had us scratching our heads and saying, what in the name of Croke Park is going on here? Number 1, the 1996 All-Ireland Final Brawl. Alright, so picture this, it's the 1996 All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final between Meath and Mayo. The tension is high, the stakes are higher, and both teams are giving it their all. But then, in the 25th minute of the second half, all hell breaks loose. Meath's Colm Coyle and Mayo's McHale get into it, and before you know it, everyone's throwing punches like they're auditioning for a role in a Rocky movie. The referee tries to break it up, but he might as well be trying to herd cats. Finally, he orders both teams off the field while things calm down. I guess you could say that the players just couldn't handle the heat, or maybe they were just hungry and needed a snack break. Anyway, when play finally resumes, both teams are down to 14 men because Coyle and McHale were sent off for their brawl. But despite the chaos, Meath manages to pull off a victory with a scoreline of 2-9 to 1-11. Talk about a knockdown, drag-out game. Unfortunately, the brawl wasn't all fun and games, as both teams received fines and suspensions. Number 2, the Offaly sit-down protest. It's 1998, and Offaly is taking on Clare. The game is heating up, and tensions are running high when suddenly, the referee makes a call that doesn't sit well with the Offaly fans. And when I say it doesn't sit well, I mean they literally didn't sit well with it. In protest, a group of Offaly supporters stormed the pitch and staged a sit-down protest in front of the Clare goalposts. I guess they were trying to make a point, or maybe they just wanted a better view of the action. Either way, the protest caused the match to be delayed and eventually abandoned. I guess you could say the Offaly fans really knew how to sit this one out. The incident caused a lot of controversy, with many condemning it as a breach of fair play and sportsmanship. Even the Offaly team, who weren't involved in the protest, apologised for their fans' actions. But hey, at least they weren't protesting for a silly reason like running out of beer at the concession stand, am I right? In the end, the Offaly sit-down protest was a reminder that even in the heat of the moment, it's important to keep a level head and respect the rules of the game. And who knows, maybe one day we'll see a more peaceful protest, like a group of fans staging a sit-in to demand that the players sign their jerseys. Number 3, the 12 Apostles or the Dirty Dozen. Let me tell you about the Dublin v Galway football match of 1983. The one that went down in history as the 12 Apostles, or the Dirty Dozen, game. Sounds like a Western movie title, doesn't it? The match was pretty intense, as you might expect from two rival teams battling it out on the pitch. However, things took a turn for the worse in the 66th minute when a full-blown brawl erupted between the players. It was like an episode of WWE, except without the steel chairs and body slams. To the surprise of no one, the referee was not amused by the players' behaviour and decided to show 12 of them, 6 from each team, a red card. That's right, 12 players were sent off in a single game. The match became known as the 12 Apostles, or the Dirty Dozen, game, not exactly the nicknames the players were hoping for. Despite the chaos, Dublin managed to hold on for a 1-point victory, which was a pretty big deal for them as they hadn't won an All-Ireland title in 11 years. I guess all's well that ends well, but I bet they were still feeling embarrassed about the whole Dirty Dozen thing. In the end, the Dublin v Galway 1983 match was a classic example of how not to behave on the pitch. Number 4, the Keady affair. Alrighty, let me tell you about the GAA Keady affair. It's the kind of scandal that would make even the most seasoned politicians blush. So, back in 1986, a Gaelic footballer and manager, Keady, got himself into a bit of hot water after he spoke out against the GAA's strict amateurism rules in a newspaper interview. He argued that players should be compensated for their time and effort, which was like asking for the moon at the time. The GAA was not amused by Keady's comments, and they slapped him with a 12-month suspension, which meant he couldn't do anything GAA-related during that period. But like a rebel with a cause, Keady decided to continue coaching an underage football team and even played in a few club matches. The GAA, naturally, was not happy about this and threatened to extend Keady's suspension. This led to a national scandal, with everyone and their mother weighing in on the issue of amateurism in the GAA. It was like a soap opera, but with more jerseys and less romance. Eventually, Keady was allowed to return to GAA activities once his suspension was up, but the controversy continued to linger for years. The whole thing was a classic example of how one person's outspokenness can ignite a firestorm of controversy and change the course of history. In the end, the GAA Keady affair served as a reminder that sports organizations need to adapt to changing times and values. And who knows, maybe one day, we'll see GAA players driving around in Ferraris and sipping champagne on the sidelines. Okay, maybe not, but we can dream, right? Number 5, the 2010 Leinster Final. Finally, let's talk about the 2010 Leinster Final, a match that was so controversial, it made referees everywhere want to hide under their whistles. In a wild showdown, Meath managed to scrape a victory with a scoreline of 112 to 110, thanks to an eyebrow-raising, late goal by none other than Joe, the controversy king Sheridan. While the TV replay screamed foul play, referee Martin Sludden, the fearless soul from County Tyrone, boldly declared the goal as valid. As if that weren't enough, he blew the final whistle, leaving jaws dropping everywhere. But hold on to your seats, because the Louth fans weren't having any of it. They stormed the pitch like a horde of angry ants, chasing poor referee Sludden and giving him a not-so-friendly pat on the back. It was like a chaotic Benny Hill sketch, only with more red-faced fury. Meanwhile, in a desperate attempt to turn the game into a flying bottle extravaganza, some genius from the stands launched projectiles like a circus performer gone rogue. One of those bottles turned out to be a perfect shot, hitting a steward who probably thought they were auditioning for a gymnastics routine. Down they went, much to the delight of gravity. As expected, this entire circus unleashed a media frenzy, with pundits debating more passionately than a group of seagulls squabbling over a bag of chips. Even the politicians, who were probably just hoping for a peaceful day out, couldn't resist jumping into the spotlight to condemn the madness. Amidst the chaos, everyone clamored for a replay. But alas, the powers that be decided to skip the rerun and let this glorious chapter of football lunacy remain etched in the annals of sporting history. Was your favourite controversy not in the video? Then check out our first video on GAA Controversies. What did you think of the list? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe and turn on the notifications to never miss a screen splat video.